podcast, and my name is Aaron Richmond. It's a fact. There's nothing, well, there's always going to be a listener that can imagine that they're listening to someone else, but that's not the reality. Reality is my name is Aaron Richmond. You're listening to Aaron's opinion. That's a fact. That's information. Misinformation would be if someone said the sentence, if two people were in a room and they were listening to Aaron's opinion, and they said, and one of them said, I'm listening to Aaron Richards, Aaron's opinions. That would be misinformation.
Right.
Because they got it wrong, but accidentally. They kind of messed up the spelling of my name. They kind of jumbled it up. Right. But if they said, now of course I'm not going to do it, but let me. I don't want to get it. I don't want to get us too off track. But if they said we're listening to a totally different podcast, and they gave a totally different name, and they did that on purpose, that would be disinformation, because they gave a statement with the intent of providing wrong information. So how does all of this? So that's the difference. Now you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it every day out in the wild, in the media, in our lives, in society. Now, the question that a listener should ask is, well, Aaron, why on earth would you be talking about this? And really, how does this relate to blindness? It relates to blindness because we have a lot of information, misinformation, and disinformation. For example, when your doctor said you can't go to college, was that information, misinformation, or disinformation?
Oh, that was absolutely disinformation. That was terrible.
Close. It would be, I would say that's misinformation, because he was trying to create a fact based on evidence that he saw, but he was slightly wrong. But because he was a doctor, he was trying to give helpful information. So he misinformed you.
Right. Okay. I see.
So that's where we get in English. That's where we say that person was really misinformed. That person was really misinformed. And the reason I want to talk about this, because it came up and because you brought it up, is because until I got working, for Company X, which I've been working there for 5 years, providing English instruction online for 5 years, I never really understood when people tell me, when I was growing up, my parents would always say, well, Aaron, sometimes people don't always get it right. Sometimes they're misinformed. And you have to learn what the differences are, and then you have to peel it apart and really figure it out and say, well, that person was just simply misinformed. Whether they intended to hurt me or not, well, who knows? But usually most people are either, most of the time, people are misinformed about anything, because very rarely do people know everything about something. So usually it's misinformation. So anyway, I think it's really important to set realistic goals, and I think that you would be a great therapist. And I'm sure that there are listeners in the audience who are blind, who are doctors and nurses. So it's a great chance for me to say, if you want to comment on this episode, comment below and let Anastasia know what she can do. What are some really good resources and really good people that she should talk to? Or of course, you're too afraid to do it, but you could always email me, aaronsopinion6@gmail.com. All right then. Well, so I think all of that is really good. And then, by the way, how did you get into the cooking and all of that? Where I actually saw the video of you baking the bake shop cookies, I believe.
I started baking before I lost my vision. So I've loved that since I was like 12 years old. And when I lost my vision, I got out of, baking, and because I was depressed. I didn't really do anything that I liked to do until I learned how to deal with this vision loss. So actually this past year, I got myself really back into baking. Not so much cooking, but I am getting better with that. I love to bake for holidays, for, birthdays, for special events. I find it to be very comforting. And I have found some tips and tricks that I think anybody listening here would benefit from. I know I have burnt myself many times trying to put something in the oven. And I recently discovered these oven mitts. Like, they go up to your elbows. And it's nice because if you do have to use the oven, you're not burning yourself on the top of your arms. And I also use a crock pot a lot in my air fryer because I don't really like to use the oven because I have a gas oven and I don't feel super comfortable with the flame. So I started using those, and I found that I like that a lot, and I have been cooking a lot more. I did get a talking meat thermometer, because I'm also colorblind as well. So I can never tell when meat is cooked. You know, people say, well, it's not pink anymore. I can't tell if it's pink, if it's brown, I'm not sure. So I got one of those at Amazon, and I really like it a lot. I've been using it every week. I mostly use it with chicken because that's something that you never want to eat, you know, undercooked. And
Yeah, well, I never want to eat chicken when it's cooked properly. I eat too much chicken.
oh, come on. There's never too much chicken.
Sure there is. Sure there is. So fed up with chicken. So fed up
Oh,
with chicken.
it's the
Yes.
best. You can do so many things with it.
Oh, that's the one. You know what's better than chicken? Salmon, shrimp. There's seafood has so much better flavor. Hmm.
Oh, I don't know about that. I
Mm,
think it's because I've had smoked. Anytime I've ever had fish, it's been smoked, and I don't like that smoky flavor. I don't know about you, but I just don't, I don't like it.
I see. I see. So then you really got into baking. Can you, but before you do, can you explain to us about an air fryer? I've noticed in a lot of these groups that I'm on,
Hmm.
people have been mentioning air fryers. How would you describe that from a blindness perspective?
Well, um, it's like it's like a little tiny oven that sits on top of your counter, and it has a pull-out tray. At least mine does. I know there's a million different kinds, but mine has a pull-out tray, and I just kind of drop whatever, you know, I want to cook in there. Like, I could put shrimp in it, I could put French fries in it, um, and I just pop it back in, and you set the timer, and it cooks it in like half the time. And you don't have to stick your hands inside of an oven. You don't have to have your hands, you know, by an open flame on the stove if you do have a gas oven. And I think they're safer.
So like how big is it? What are the dimensions of this air fryer?
Oh boy, the dimensions. You're getting technical on me. Um, it's really not very big. It's like the size of a regular sized coffee maker, like a Keurig. It's like that size.
Okay, got you.
Right.
So then how much food could it really make, you know? Or
Um, for like the smaller ones, you could probably cook for two people. Like, you could throw two chicken breasts in there. Um, and before you throw them in, you would want to coat them in olive oil. And you would just throw it in the basket, put it in for 350. And since it cooks in half the time, you could put it in there for 20 minutes, and it comes out juicy, and it's not dry, and it's really nice. The cleanup is really nice. And it's a lot better than having to spray your oven out and clean your oven. You just throw it in the washing machine.
yeah, oh wow, okay. Well, cool. Well, good. And where did you find this particular product? I mean, is there a particular version of this or model that you think is a really good one to have?
Um, mine is mine's a Hamilton Beach one. They're so popularized now that I think just about everybody makes them. You can get them at Walmart, Target, pretty much anywhere, Amazon. I got
Cool,
mine at Walmart.
cool. Well, that's good. I might be in the market for one of these things pretty soon, actually. You
Oh, very
never
nice.
you never know. So I mean, would you highly recommend one? I mean, how much on a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you recommend an air fryer in the kitchen?
Um, Especially for a blind or low vision person, I would say 10.
I
I would
see.
say up there with a crock pot, like you need one. It's like a staple.
I see. Well, good. Good. So, it's not really a fryer if it's used like an oven. Like
Right, right.
so that's just what it's called, but it's really not a fryer. It's just a
Mm-mm.
small accessible oven that a blind person or really anyone could easily use.
Pretty much because um, it uses hot air to cook, I believe is how it works. Like a convection oven, like it circulates
Mm-hmm.
the heat, and you don't have to put any oil in it. At least I haven't, other than like putting a little bit on your food before you put it in.
Yeah.
But it's not like you have to fill it up like a traditional fryer. The name is a little misleading.
So it's not right. It's just not a fryer. It's just a really good oven.
Right.
Like, yeah,
Right.
that sits on the counter. And now, is there an app for your iPhone that goes with this, so you can control it with the app on the phone and all that?
I wish that they should work on that. I think you just gave them their next big idea.
Hmm. Hmm. I see. I see. That would be. I mean, what company? I mean, depending on the model that you bought, what company makes it? You said it's Beach something?
There's Hamilton Beach. I know
Hamilton Beach.
Ninja, like the people that make the Ninja blenders and things, they make one. Um, Pretty much General Electric, probably, pretty much everybody that makes appliances.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Well, that's really good. That's really excellent. All right. So I will tell you a little secret.
Okay.
And blind people around the world, because most of you guys at home are blind, will understand and will hopefully have some vague compassion for this. It's a bit of a long story, but I live with my parents and my brother. And one of my parents in particular just can't seem to bake the chocolate chip cookie. Could you please, could you please run through it right now? Tell me what the recipe is and tell me the tricks for baking a normal chocolate chip cookie for me to bite into it and for me to say, wow, or oh baby, like it has to be that good. Like can you just save me and just tell me how to do it,
Can,
please?
I will absolutely save you because you need to have chocolate chip cookies in your life, especially those big bake shop, chewy.
Yeah.
You need them. So you tell your mom that she is going to need 2 cups of all purpose flour. She's going to need a half teaspoon baking soda, half a teaspoon salt, 3/4 cup unsalted butter melted, and she can just pop that in the microwave and melt it.
Okay. So right there, you said that the butter does need to be melted.
It does need to be melted, and
Okay.
I believe that's 3/4 cup is equivalent to a stick and a half of butter. And you want to use the unsalted because if you use the salted, your cookies will come out salty because you're going to be putting a half a teaspoon of salt in it already. So you want to use the unsalted butter. And then you're going to want 1 cup of packed brown sugar. You can use the light or the dark, it does not matter. A half a cup of white sugar, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, 1 egg yolk, and 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips. And what you're going to want to do is first preheat your oven, your regular oven, because the air fryer is too small for this. So you're going to want to heat it to 325 degrees. And what I do is I have a very large cookie sheet, and I like to put parchment paper down because the cleanup is a lot easier, but you can just grease it with Crisco or Pam. But I like to use the parchment paper. And this is really important. So what you guys are going to want to do is you're going to want to stir together all of the dry ingredients first. And your dry ingredients would consist of the flour,